The initial idea for doing the video was meant to be uploaded sort of like twice a month. Didn't necessarily get off to the best start. There was a few factors to it. Primarily, the time of year wasn't amazing, and a legal matter had come up that required a lot more time and concentration and focus that I didn't really envisage it being as engrossing in my work. Normally when I'm going out and I'm doing my work, I just expect to photograph, edit, meet, network with new clients, and eventually get new jobs and, you know, rinse and repeat, and hopefully work my way up the chain of, you know, providing events and live music-based photography. However, one company had come onto the scene, and it was quite apparent that a lot of my work had been used without permission. Now, for the sake of simplicity right now, and to keep my lawyers happy, the company I can't name, but the scope of what they did was massive copyright infringement, to the extent where a large proportion of my events archive was stolen over the last 4 years and repurposed without credit or acknowledgement. That is an issue that I'm working on with other people right now to hopefully resolve quite soon. The law firm that I'm dealing with, really nice guys. The issue with approaching a matter like this is copyright infringement is something that's going to happen whether you like it or not. Your work is going to be used in a manner that you're not entirely cool with, and there's got to be ways in which you have to deal with it. Now, a lot of the internet has said, oh, send them a shitty email or not so shitty email and send them an invoice, and, you know, things can get covered on that side. But in some instances, it's probably better to really seek legal advice. If it's like 1 or 2 images and the company is a well-known news outlet that is renowned for using images without permission, then yeah, you can probably get away with just sending them an email, get them to acknowledge it, get an invoice, get some money through from that. However, in a commercial aspect, one of the first things you've got to do is you've got to get legal advice. It's there to ensure that you protect not only your brand but your image and your work and all future creations that you do. The UK is very much so different from the United States. You folks over there need to register each body of work. Here in the UK, each body of work is automatically protected. Now, the thing with lawyers is they ain't cheap. They're really not cheap. And if you are worried about how much it's going to cost, it's understandable. I mean, the guys typically can charge from around 200 to 400 per hour, depending kind of on discipline you're wanting to hire them on. Now, there are organisations out there, and there is ways to legally take on a big challenge that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be massively out of pocket. Money's always been a massive issue for me. It came from growing up in a less than comfortable avenue during sort of like the whole childhood development, and it's always been a part of my mind there. Now, things are a lot more comfortable, but I still consider myself to be on a lower tier in terms of how much I earn compared to, say, other people that are doing roughly the same levels of work. Part of that is down to having crap clients in some instances. The other part of it is down to being in a market that is quite saturated. But the economics of photography is a chat for another day. What you need to look at is, if you're a photographer and you have your equipment insured, try and make sure that you've got legal expenses covered. I mean, if someone has an accident on one of your photo shoots, you should have cover straight away, because the financial responsibility of paying out for such a claim like that will cripple you, and you'll be out of a business very, very quick. If, like I found out, my insurance company doesn't cover the legal expenses for copyright infringement and breaches of contract, you kind of need to look at seeing if that kind of insurance is available. I have been told that some household insurance has got things like that covered. Some photographic insurance has things like that covered as well. But it may be best to outright seek your own form and level of protection that you may well need at some point in the future, in the event that your shit is used without your permission. Now, if you aren't covered in all of these aspects, you've still got a level of cover that you can get, and you may need to look at using lawyers on a pro bono case. I still haven't quite got my head around it, but they're there to give you the legal advice and the pointers, and hopefully take up the direction of where the case needs to go. But the pro bono is there primarily for people on a low income threshold. So if you're earning below, I think it's something like 30,000 a year or something like that, and that's before expenses, you may well qualify for that. I'll put a link in the description below for the organisation that you should approach. These guys are there to help you. They understand that money may be an issue. I got off the phone about an hour ago to the person that is starting to take on my case, and it's a slow process. I kind of want to say that I'm impatient with how I want a matter like this to be addressed. You know, someone uses my shit without my permission, bang, I want that done and dusted by the end of the week. Doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes the wheels of motion for the justice system and the legal system, it works on a completely different time frame to what we're used to. So impatience is something that I'm having to learn to deal with on a very big scale. But we're getting there. The issue that is being handled at the moment, I'm not sure that I'm allowed to speak about it outright just yet, but there will be more information coming out quite soon. And given the scope of the work that has been taken, there's probably going to be an open call to other photographers within a certain industry that I'm involved with to come forward and ideally discuss and see if there's a systematic abuse by one other company, and hopefully take things further forward from there. But yes, legal advice. Speak to a lawyer. That is as simple as it goes. You know, you can get all the advice on the internet, but the internet has so many different opinions that it's not always contributive to a good pursuit of whatever issue you're trying to resolve. Some instances, yeah, you can get away with sending them an invoice, but if you feel for any second that this is something that is out of your scope in being able to tackle, you got to speak to someone. And a lawyer is there, pro bono, or whether you're a regular paying client of theirs. They're there to protect you. They're there to protect your money and your brand and your business. And if you don't start protecting your brand and your business, we get into an issue where other companies can get away with a lot more. And you won't necessarily be in a position to practice what you enjoy, what is essentially your passion and rent payer at the end of the day. So I hope that information is somewhat useful to you guys. The next couple of weeks are going to be quite interesting because there is a lot going on. I myself have acquired a few new clients as well, and dealing with the legal issue of this other company. It is taking up a lot of time, and I do want to try and do 2 videos per month, but it is quite difficult. But hopefully things can start moving forward in a direction where things are better. But stay tuned. Again, 2 weeks, who knows? It could be a month, it could be 3. The weather's better, it should be alright.